welcome back to my show. In today's episode, I have a really special guest with us today. Her name is Cruz. Hi Caris, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you on the show today. So could you please introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about your latest book?
Okay, my name is Caris Avendano Cruz, and I wrote Marikit in the Ocean of Stars. It's a middle grade story about a young girl who goes on an adventure in a land of the Encantos, and there she meets so many gods and so many folklore creatures from the Filipino mythology. So I'm really excited to bring this out into the world for people to know more about our stories and our culture.
That sounds fantastic. So everyone out there, if you like folklore, mythology, and anything with adventure in it, this is the book for you. So be sure to grab this book whenever you can. My next question for you is, what's your definition of beautiful?
Oh my gosh. Beauty is something that we could feel in our hearts. Like it doesn't have to be something like shiny and white and bright, but it's something that we feel is pure and true and honest and earnest. And I think that everyone has their own kind of beauty, and we just have to discover it by ourselves.
That's very beautifully said. I agree, like what you said is really true. There's no set definition, just what you think. There's no, like, you don't have to be a particular way to appear beautiful. You can be anyone and still be beautiful. It's just inside you, as you just said. So do you think that what you just said, the answer you gave for the definition of beautiful, has defined or influenced you and made you want to write about a character that's something that people can relate to?
Absolutely. Beauty is something that we Filipinos struggled with because for a long time we believed that people with whiter skin and who are tall and who had like longer, taller noses were the ones who were beautiful, and we tried to look like them. But we keep forgetting that our own skin, our sun-soaked skin, and our noses and our smiles and our eyes, they have their own kind of beauty, and we just have to appreciate that. And it takes a long time to kind of like get into that mindset. But I'm just so glad that people are getting to love themselves more. And I think Marikit is one of those books that celebrates that kind of beauty.
That sounds fantastic. This is kind of like a fun question. If you had a chance to have lunch with a celebrity, who would you choose and why?
I think I'd love to have lunch with Michelle Obama and kind of like ask her what she thinks about the world and how she liked women to change the world. What could women in the so many parts of the world could do in their own places and be their own kind of revolution. So I'd ask her that.
Sounds really interesting. I mean, maybe you might get a chance to do that sometimes too.
I'd love that.
So what part of your book did you enjoy writing the most?
Oh, okay.
And also one thing before you answer, please try avoiding giving spoilers. So maybe try answering maybe like in a way that no spoilers are given.
Okay, now I have to keep secrets. I think my most favorite chapter was the one with the fireflies. Because that's the part when I knew that, oh my gosh, this book is going to tell so many magical things, and this book might be the book that gets me published. So that's it. That was the part when I knew that Marikit seems to be a magical book of possibilities.
That actually sounds beautiful. Your character actually reminds me of Arusha from Arusha at the End of Time. I was actually reading a little bit about your book when I was researching you, as well as finishing up the Arusha series. And when I was reading them, I realized there's like so many similarities. Both of the characters from mythological backgrounds, like they both are exploring mythology. Arusha is all about the Indian culture. Your book is all about the Filipino culture. It's like both of them are about cultures, bending social stereotypes about people from India or people from Filipino. So, or no, people from Philippines. Sorry, my bad. And like just like the bridge between like how different they are, but at the same time how unique they are by the differences. So when it comes to seeing like vastly different characters, you think that there's so many different people in our world who are each different from each other, yet at the same time like their own person.
Yes, it feels like that we have our own differences, but when we hear each other's stories, we can discover that we're somewhat the same. Like we feel like another culture has a story so similar to this one. It feels like we're all connected, but we have those stories with different names and different characters, but they're all the same. We're all connected, and I like that about stories. When we tell them and we share them to other people, the more that we realize that we're not so different after all, and we just have to listen to each other and realize that.
Yes, definitely. So this is another funny question that I always like to ask, is that do you ever Google yourself? If yes, what do you find?
Oh my gosh, I do actually Google myself. It's fun because I wanted to know if there are things that I could fix about myself. So that's the reason why I tried to research it. Also, I've been in the business of websites and SEO, so I think I needed to put my website up on a higher ranking number on Google, so I had to research myself. The things that I found reviews. I listened to reviews. People tell me that I shouldn't look at reviews, and there might be a time that I would not be looking at reviews anymore. But I am just so happy that people give Marikit their time, and no matter what their opinions about it are, because I understand that everyone has their own opinions about it. Everyone has their own feelings about a certain thing, and we respect that because that's valid. But I rejoice and celebrate those things that they gave it their time, and I hope that they learned something from it.
That's actually a really great answer. I feel like your background in marketing and CEO would definitely like be important when, I mean, you don't really require it. So anyone out there listening to this episode, just because you don't really need to have experience in CEO or marketing to have your website go up. For me, my website, I don't really have a website, but like the podcast page, I somehow managed to get all the way up. So when you type my full name, you just find every single thing I've done, most things actually. But and I never really had an experience in marketing, CEO. So basically, it's all about luck and how well your keywords are placed and how many episodes, or if it's a podcast, how many episodes and how many posts you have. So it's all based on that, and also like how many people see. Also, the other thing I noticed when you answered was that you said that about reviews, right? That some people say not to check reviews. So I feel like that I've heard this thing as well from other authors, which is that seeing reviews is something that you should do only if you know you're strong enough to handle it. So like sometimes like I've seen like on Goodreads, there are like so many painful reviews. Like just reading it makes you feel bad, even if it's not a book you wrote. Like I read this super bad review, and I was like, wow. Some readers do not show any mercy to the author. They just like write what's on their mind. So in that sense, you have to be really strong to handle criticism like that, which is not really helpful, and it's just like bringing you down as an author. So that's one of the reasons, probably, like so that you do not feel bad about your writing, even if you know that it's good. Because like just because one person doesn't like it doesn't mean your writing is bad. That's just their opinion, which is super strong. But yeah.
I also think that reviews are also made for readers to understand what this book is all about. So there are, I guess, many reviewers kind of like look at stories in different angles, and I think that also helps reviewers who are also looking at things the same way as them to get into the book with expectations, with their own kind of like expectations.
Yes, definitely, because each reviewer has their own opinions. You cannot really change anyone's opinions about the book, even if it's amazing for you. Obviously, you wrote it, right? But like other readers, there are like a bunch of authors who have readers who are on the honest, positive feedback side, and some of them just say it's good, just for the sake of saying. Because like, I mean, I kind of feel like if you're gonna give negative feedback, put it in the nicest way possible. So you could maybe say like, this book was great, but I felt like the characters could be more developed, or I feel like this book was great, but for must be great for other people, but it was just not my type. Something like that. So then it's more personalized and more kind of sort of saying, I hated this book, I did not like it, it was so bad. Things like that are mean and hurtful, and then people who want to read that book would be like, I don't know, because like sometimes those kind of reviews they have, like, you know, like how in some of them they give you likes, you click on the like button to like a review. It's like the one with the most liked option ends up on the top. So even if there's just one bad review and then it's a bunch of likes for some reason, that's the first thing a different reader would see. And even if they wanted to try that book for a long time, they'll be like, maybe not. Like, kind of like it influences the decision. So if it's put nicely in nice words while still also being negative at the same time, kind of, it really helps other readers like make their own decisions instead of getting influenced by what other people are saying.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I hope we see more of those kind of reviews more.
Yeah. And also there's actually on the topic of reviewing, actually, there's other things like sometimes random people just put like type in gibberish and just type random letters and submit. I'm sure you would have noticed that, right? And like, or some people might even just type like up a whole letter or something which is not even related to the book. I've noticed this so many times. Like, if the book is about dinosaurs, castles, and stuff, the review is not even related to that. It's like about something completely different, like science or math. Those ones are really odd at times. So
it is really weird. You kind of like wonder where these reviews come from. Maybe is it the right page? Are you really reviewing this book? Maybe that was the other book.
What risks have you taken as a writer?
Oh my gosh. I guess because I work as a copywriter. When I chose to write and concentrate more on polishing my books, I had to take on different clients, and that would mean less of income for me because I had less work during that time. I also feel like, you know, when you're writing, it feels like you're isolated from a lot of your friends and family because you wanted to kind of like concentrate on your work. You want to finish something and you don't get to to move a lot of times. You also have to get yourself out there. I mean, I'm not the most outgoing person in the world. I'm actually everyone around me will tell me that I'm always the person in the background. So as much as possible, I would like to stay in the background if I could. But when you're in the business of books, I guess you have to put yourself out there and to speak about your book and to talk about your book and market about your book and even yourself as an author. So you as a shy person would have to like break off from that shell and go out there and introduce yourself and try to be brave, and hopefully that the community would love you and accept you. And it's been like that. I am so grateful to the book community who just really welcomed me, who was just really warm and friendly to me. And I hope many other writers get to experience this amazing community.
That's actually very true. I feel like me as well. I used to be a super introverted person. I never actually imagined I'd be doing a podcast, because actually the thing with my podcast, everyone else who is listening to this episode, I just want to point out again that this podcast actually started by accident. I never meant to click on that button to start the podcast, but once I clicked on the button, a bell rang in my head. What if I start a podcast and then I saw books around me because I was studying for a test or something, and I was like, and I saw the books around me and I was thinking, and I was just thinking of like, what if I do this, and then suddenly that came. On the same idea of what if, most stories, most book ideas also start like that. Like, what if there's like for your book, we could say, what if there's a Filipino girl who goes on an adventure? Or for Arusha's book, what if an Indian girl goes on an adventure and goes deeper into her background story and knows more about her mythological secrets? Things like that. Like those what if statements really like help build your story.
Definitely. Definitely. It's us just trying to like cross that line of that question and to try and do and become a person so different than who we are, and do things that we've never done before. And I think that kind of like skyrockets us to someplace else. It's a new adventure for us, and I hope we're all having fun. I know you're having fun.
Yeah, definitely. So, my last and final question for you is, what what would be the main advice you'd give to young writers who want to become an author in the future?
Oh, okay. First, I hope that they keep on writing, because we all have to understand that the things we wrote before, they're not perfect. They're not even, they may not be the books that we would manage to bring out into the world, but these books are like are the steps in the ladders, and each story that we finish is like you're stepping up towards that landing where you get to create something beautiful and that the world would love it. So I hope that we continue to practice our craft. I hope that we continue to read so that we could find people who would be who would inspire us with their words, with their prose, with their style, so we could also find our own. And also, I hope that they write stories that about who they are and the stories that they believe in, so that we could bring out more stories that are different from the ones that we already see, stories that are still not told very much, and so that they get to have many more people will learn about those stories.
That's actually very beautifully said again. These are the most important words that every young writer needs. Number one, not being afraid to show who they are through their books, not wanting to always make their character white. Unless of course if they are white, then that's a different thing. But just like not be afraid to showcase who they really are, not try to hide behind a shell and pretend that they're of a different culture. Just be proud of who they are, showcase who they are physically, mentally, culturally, all of those things. And also keep reading, as you said, keep reading, keep writing, so that your vocab increases. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I had an amazing time talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was a great time. Thank you so much. Okay guys, so that's a wrap for today's episode. I will be having another interview series starting next Monday. I'll have an episode on Sunday most likely as well, so stay tuned for that. My next interview is gonna be on the 24th most likely, and I'll be having it with a very special guest again. So I'm not going to reveal who it is because I want it to be a surprise, but I'm sure you're going to love her as much as you love Caris. Thank you so much everyone, and keep reading and keep writing. Bye guys.